program will not get executed. To avoid it, we have to handle the exception. To handle this exception, we have some keywords like try, catch, throw, throws, finally. Totally 5 keywords. We'll be seeing all this with example. And when to use try, whenever you suspect this set of code may create exception, that set of code should be surrounded by try. Okay, I will repeat. Whenever you have a suspect or you guess this lines may create exception, that can be surrounded by try. That set of codes can be surrounded by try. You can use try catch inside a function. Okay. So immediately after the try block, you should put catch. Okay. And so immediately after the try, you should have a catch. So for that, let me give an example so that you will understand. Okay. First, I will give an example, then I'll go for a user-defined exception. So I said when to use a try, whenever you expect or you suspect that this code may create an error, that case you can go for try. Say for example, let me create an array, okay, array name. And let me create this array using array initializer. Let me put some data here. Okay, so there is 4 elements in this array. Okay, so I'm going to use a try code, try block. This is a try block. So immediately you can see there is an error. Okay, it shows an error because immediately after the try, there should be a catch. Okay, so catch is the keyword. And inside the catch, here inside the try, you don't put any parenthesis. But in the catch, whenever there is an exception, an object will be created about the exception. You know what is an object. So whenever there is an exception, an object will be created. Automatically, it will be taken care by Java. Okay. So whenever JVM will take care of it, whenever there is an exception, an object will be created automatically. That object will contain complete information about the exception created, occurred. Okay. And that object will be sent to the catch. Here, I'm going to use a class called exception. So now you can see the error is gone. So immediately after the try, there should be a catch. I said inside the try, we expect some exception. Sometimes it may occur, it may not also occur. Whenever their exception occur, an object will be created. That object will be sent to this catch block, and this catch will be catching it. Okay, and this object, so that object will be sent to this object. So here we know whenever we create a function, say for example, if I create a function like this, int add, and then followed by here I'll put some variable name, right? Int a, right? So this is the data type, this is the variable name. Same like that. Exception is a predefined class already available. Okay, exception is a predefined class which help us to handle the exception. And for this data type, okay, we know classes also use a defined data type. So for this, we are creating a variable. So whenever an object is created, whenever there is a exception, an object will be created, and that object will be automatically given to this variable object of type exception. Let's see one thing. So what I'm going to do here is system.out.println. I'm trying to access ARR of 8. Okay, you can see here actually there is only 4 elements in this array, but I'm trying to access the 8th element which is not there. But syntactically it is correct. Okay, because accessing an array, you know how to access an array element, name of the array, followed by we have to mention the index of an array. So here I have given 8. But syntax is correct, but logically it is wrong. Why logically wrong? Because there is no 8th element. There is only 4 elements starting from 0 to 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. You may be remembering the array. Okay. So this is wrong. Syntactically correct. See, no error is shown here because syntactically correct. But logically during runtime, if it search for the 8th element, it will not find it. Okay. Here also I am going to print another line. I am going to say after the exception line, something just for our understanding. So this is here try and followed by immediately after the try there should be a catch. In between this, you should not put any other lines. Okay, it will show error. And here I'm going to put another line, and I'm going to say after the catch block. Okay, so let's run this. I'm going to run this program. You can see here. Okay, so here I am not putting anything, right? Inside the catch block, I'm going to say this error is because of, and then I'm going to print this object E. Because I said whenever there is an exception here inside the try block, an object will be automatically created. That object will be passed to this catch block. Okay, this is a syntax, try followed by catch, and this catch variable will be catching that object, and I'm trying to print this E and to get the details. So you know that whenever I try to print an object, automatically the toString function of the class will be called. So as I said, exception is a predefined class. In that predefined class, there may be some function toString. So when I print this object E, automatically that toString will be called and the corresponding information will be displayed, which means this E is now containing the object thrown by this try block. Okay, so if I run this, you can see here. You can see here. So there is an exception here. Okay, 1 second. Okay, you can see there is an exception in this place. When it is running, it is finding it. So after this, this line will not be printed. Immediately, whenever there is an exception, an object will be automatically created and it will be passed to this catch block. And it will immediately come to the catch block. Okay. And then here I am saying this error is because of, so it is printing this error is because of, then I am printing E. So E will be containing, I said, all the information about the exception occurred. So here you can see the exception occurred is array index out of bound exception. Okay, the exception name is array index out of bound. You can know the array 8 is out of the bound of this array. So the array, this exception is already there. So automatically the Java runtime environment have found this is an error of type array index out of bound exception, and it is giving index 8 out of the bound of length 4. So you know that already the array is of length 4, but I am trying to access the index 8. So all this information, see, we didn't give any information about it. But automatically, this object which created from here is given to this object, and when we print, it is giving all the information about the exception occurred. So after the catch block, it will normally follow the remaining lines of code after that. Suppose if I am not using this, okay, you consider like this. You can see here, I am not using any try catch block. Okay. I'm not using any try catch. What is try catch? Try catch means handling the exception. Here we know that there is an exception. I'm not handling it actually, but there is no error. You can see here, no errors, nowhere it is showing error, because during the compile time there is no error because syntactically it is correct. Let's run this. I'm going to run this. You can see this part is creating an exception. And automatically it is showing what is the exception, all this. But you can see that since there is an exception in this line, these 2 lines after the exception is not get executed. Okay, it's not get executed. This is a problem of if you don't handle the exception, the remaining codes after the exception will not be get executed. So as I said, you inserted, I told you one example at that day, right? When you go to ATM, you enter the amount, okay? You are entering, I want to withdraw 10,000. You typed it and it is get deducted from the account, but it is not in your hand. In between there is an exception. So the remaining lines will not be executed if you are not handling it properly. Right, so here it is a very small example, only 2 lines. It's just example. But in the real-time example, if there is an exception and if it is not handled properly, what happened? the remaining codes in the program will not get executed and there will not be a completion of the program. So the program will get terminated in between. In this line itself, the program got terminated. So in order to, so this line you can see, this line is not get printed, this line is also not get printed. But our expectation is this to be printed. So if you're not using this try-catch block and you're not handling it, handling means using try-catch block. If you're not handling it, what happened? The JVM will terminate the program in between and it will show what is the error and it will terminate the program. So that is not desirable. So we have to handle it. And whenever you expect that this code may sometimes create a problem. So for example, if I'm opening a file, we know that the file is available, but during the runtime, if the file is not available because of some reason, the file maybe get corrupted, we don't know. This is an all right network error. This is not unexpected error, right? So which part may create some problem, that should be kept inside a try. Followed by the try, we have to put a catch. So in this case, when I run this program, you can see the line after this also get executed, right? This line is also get executed because we handle it properly. So this is what's the basic example of try and catch. And you can know that after the try, you can have any number of catches. Okay. So this, you know, this is because of array index out of bound exception. Out of bound exception. Okay. I think what is the problem there? I'll find it later. So for example, I can have any number of exceptions, like I can have any number of catch after the try. I can see here, if the exception here created here, if is of type arithmetic exception, then it will go to this part. And now you know in this case it is because of array index out of bound exception. So it will, if I have not specified it explicitly, it will automatically go to this exception part. So this exception class can handle any type of exception. But if you are specifically saying some exception, it should be above this catch, above this catch with exception class. Okay, so this is more specifically. We know that I have specifically said this catch is only to handle arithmetic exception. So if there is an exception related to arithmetic, then say what is arithmetic exception? Say for example, you consider I'm going to say integer is equal to 10 divided by 0. Okay, so this is syntactically correct but logically wrong. So this is an arithmetic exception. So I'll say system.out.println. I'm going to say this is arithmetic exception. Okay, so here there is two type of exception is there. This is arithmetic exception. This is array index out of bound exception. And if something else exception is also occurring, then it will go for this exception. If there is, it is specifically if it is arithmetic exception, then it will directly come to it. Other than this, if I have specified it, you can say here array index out of bound exception. Array, I forgot the class name. Index out of bound. So you can specify any number of class, okay? Okay, bounds, okay. So I've missed this, yes. So here you can see, I will put this array exception. So you can see followed by one try, I can have any number of catches. So which type of exception object is created, accordingly it will go to the corresponding catch. But if anything, these are all more specific one, but this is a general one. This exception can hatch anything. Okay, but you have to remember one thing, this exception should not be kept here as a first one. If you keep like this, you can see there is an error immediately, because this is general one. If this exception, this class can handle any type of exception. It can handle arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception, interruption exception, any exception it can handle. So this two exception will become unreachable, because any exception it occur here, it will automatically come here. So it will never be reached. So whenever you write multiple catches, you should be very careful. Most specific one should be at the top and most general one should be at the bottom. So this is how we have to organize. Say for example, if I run this program, you can see here in this program, there is a arithmetic exception. You know that in maths, we cannot divide a number by 0. So it is a logical mistake. So it is an exception which may occur during the runtime. So we have kept it inside this try block. So whenever there is an exception, automatically it will search if there is any catch block with arithmetic exception. If it is there, then it will automatically come to this. If you don't write this, it will go to this exception. Okay, I will show both the cases. In this case, I have written arithmetic exception. So it will automatically go to this arithmetic exception. And you can say this is arithmetic exception, which is inside this catch block, and it is get printed. Okay, and after this you have one more line that is also get printed. Okay, because we handle it. Let me comment it. Now I am going to run it. Okay, so this is again arithmetic exception, but I am not writing it. Okay, you can see I am not writing arithmetic exception. So if there is no such catch related to that, then it will be handled by this exception. So let me run it. You can see here. This error is because this exception can handle any exception, as I told you already. So here this error is because of arithmetic exception. So this error is because of. So you can know that here I have specifically not written it. So it is not matching to array index out of bound exception. So it will come to the general exception. This can handle any type of exception. And this is get printed here, and followed by E will be displaying what type of exception have occurred, arithmetic exception. And you can also see it is divide by 0 error. Okay, it's showing divide by 0. That is the problem. And followed by the catch, we have some other line means that will also get executed. Right? So if you specifically mention the exception, will go there. And if you don't specifically mention, it will be handled by the exception. So for a try block, you can have any number of multiple catches. Right? I know that you might be learned this from some other classes. Anyway, I think this will be giving a revision to you that you can understand it better this time. Do you understand this? Did you get some idea, Ma? Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, thanks, Ma. So that I will be happy that you are understanding. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is about the general information about a try-catch block. Okay. I know that this you may be knowing how to write it. Now we are moving to the next part. So this is how you have to write. So this is all predefined exception, arithmetic exception, array index out of bounds exception. This, yes, you should not forget. Okay, earlier I forgot it. So this array index out of, this is all predefined exception. Now we are going to create our own exception. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to, this is a normal Java program. Okay. So now we are going to create our own exception. So if I want to create, okay, we'll create an exception for a case like this. Here I will teach you throws and all. Okay. For example, you know, if I want to vote, the minimum age should be 18 and above, right? Less than 18, nobody can vote. So the eligibility is 18 and above. So we are going to check the age. If the age is less than 18, we are going to create an exception. That is user-defined exception. It is not already predefined in Java about the age exception. There is only exceptions like interrupt exception, network exception, or array index out of bound exception, arithmetic exception, like this. This kind of exceptions are already predefined. But each exception is not already there. We are going to create one such that, okay. Whenever I want to create anything new in Java, you have to create a class. We know how to create a class. So create a class. I'm going to give a name for this exception as age exception. And if I want to make this class as a user-defined exception, don't forget to extend exception. So already I told you, exception is a predefined class. Okay, so all the exceptions under Java will be coming under this. So if I want to make this class as a user-defined exception, then I have to inherit this exception class. What is this exception? We know about this extend keyword. Whenever I want to do an inheritance, we have to go for extends, right? And then followed by the name of the parent class. So here the exception is considered to be the parent, which is a predefined class in Java. So this is the important step to make a user-defined exception. And inside this, I'll be first teaching you very simply, create a. What is this? Can someone tell me what is it called as? What is it called as?
Constructor.
Very good. Excellent one. Constructor. Very good. So here I'm going to write in constructor saying, first I'll make it very simply and I'll teach you, then I'll show little more steps. And I'm going to say, check your age. Okay. So some information I'm going to give. Okay, so the exception is created. This is how we have to create our own exception. See, very simple, right? So I'm first teaching very simple way, okay? So class name, extends, exception, and inside that you have to just create a constructor and write whatever you want to do with that. That's it. So the exception is created. Now we have to use it, okay? Let's use it. Oh, here also I will first teach you different ways. First I'll make it simply like this. The exception is now created, we'll use it. So, you can get the input from the user. Let's get the input from the user. So, we know that whenever I want to get the input from user, I have to create the object for the scanner class, new scanner, system.in. Okay, and we have to import the header for it. So we know that util package, so it is automatically imported, and I'm going to say system.out.println, I'm going to say enter your age, and then in a variable called age I'm going to get scanner object dot next int. Done, right? Okay, so now I'm going to check it. I'm going to check if age is less than 18, what to do? So, if there is an arithmetic exception, automatically the Java runtime environment will find it. It know how to identify the predefined exception. But checking an age is not already known by the runtime environment. It doesn't know, okay, voting eligibility age is 18. It doesn't know, okay. So, we have to throw the exception now. We have to create it now. So in the previous example which I showed you, whenever I divide a number by 0, automatically the runtime environment is finding it. Oh, it is an exception. In the runtime, it is finding and it is directly redirecting it to the corresponding catch block, that is arithmetic exception, and it is get executed. But in this case, when we define some exception, we have to throw it manually. I told you already, whenever there is an exception, an object will be created, right? Now we have to create that object. So to create that exception object, you have to use the keyword called throw, followed by you have to create an object. We know how to create a nameless object. Already I have taught you. We can create object in different way. We can use with name, and without name also we can create. So here the exception name is age exception. That's it. So here we are creating our own exception. So I am going to say age exception. Okay. Okay, why it is showing error, I'll tell you. Okay, so you can see here it is creating an exception. We are manually creating exception. So we know that whenever there is an exception, we have to handle it. So let us put inside the try. So we know that this code is going to create an exception. See, immediately this error gone. And there is an error. We know that immediately after the try, what should be there? Catch should be there. Okay. And now inside the catch, I have to tell what type of exception I'm expecting here. I know it now. The exception name is age exception, followed by any name you can give. Okay, object name. See, all the errors gone. Here I am going to say system.out.println your age is less than 18. Better luck next time. Something, okay? Okay. So this is how. So we know that here there is an exception. Whenever we are throwing this exception manually now. We itself created it. We know that whenever the age is less than 18, and we know that there is an exception. This is user-defined exception that is created here, age exception. And I'm throwing it. This is an object we created, and the keyword throw should be used and followed by the object name of this user-defined exception, age exception. And we know that whenever there is an exception, it should be inside the try block, and followed by the try, there should be a catch. In the catch, you have to say what is the name of the exception and the variable object of this class. And then here inside the catch, you can say whatever you want to do or display, right? So, okay. So in the else part, we can see here in the else part, we'll write else part also. We'll say system.out.println what is you are eligible to vote. So if the age is greater than or equal to 18, then we say you are eligible to vote. So let's run this program. So it is asking enter your age. Let me say the name is 10. So you can see here. So whenever the age is less than 18, now in the age variable, we are entering 10. So 10 is less than 18. So it will come to this part. It is creating an exception by manually. And this part is an object. We know whenever we create an object, constructor will be called. So immediately in this place, it will go and call this constructor. What is inside the constructor? Check your age. So check your age is displayed. Then after this, after the try, who will be executed? If there is an exception, after the try, catch block will be executed. What we have mentioned inside the catch block? We have given your age is this statement, right? Your age is less than 18. Better luck next time. So this line is get executed. Okay, so this is how we have to use the throw keyword. So whenever we want to manually create an exception, we have to use it. Do you understand how to use throw? Yeah. Others? Don't you understand, ma? Yeah, thank you, ma. Thank you so much. I will upload this video on GCR. If you have any doubt, you can check it again. Okay, ma. Good. Thanks, ma. So this is how we can able to create a exception manually. This is user-defined exception creation, and then we have to handle throw it manually, and we have to use it this way. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. Now I'm going to teach you how to use throws keyword. For that, I'm going to create a function here. Okay. Let's create a function here. Let me say void, or we can create a static function so that I can call it directly with the class name. Static void. We know that static keyword. Okay. You remember that we'll name this function name as check age. Okay. So inside this, first I'm going to do all this. Here inside I'm going to get the variable age, and here so this function is going to now do all this thing. Okay, ma. And now we have to call this function. Since this is a static function, I don't want to create an object for this class. Directly I can call this function. And this age I am going to pass it. Okay, so here we have written a function that is going to check all this condition, and let us call this function. Since it is a static function, I have called directly by the function name, and this age I am passing. This age will come here. I am checking if the age is less than 18. So same thing we will get. Same thing we will get. It is asking enter your age. Let's say 12. So it says check your age. Your age is less than 18. Better luck next time. Same thing. Okay. So this is how we can do with the function. If I don't use the static keyword, what do you have to do? First, you have to create an object for this class. Then using the object, we have to call it. Okay. So I think you remember this also. So it is asking enter your age. Let me say 50. So it say check your age. Your age is less than 18. Better luck next time. Okay. So if it is not a static function, you have to create an object, and then with the help of an object, you have to call, because main function is a static function. If it is a non-static function, then you have to create an object, right? So this is what we do. Now let's learn about throws keyword now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take away all this thing. Okay, so now you can see here inside a function, I'm checking this. If the age is less than 18, we are manually creating an exception, and we know that whenever a code contains some exception, it should be handled using try catch block. But here inside this function, I have removed this try catch block, which says that I am not handling this exception here, right? So if I am not handling this exception here inside the function, what I have to do is I have to throw this exception outside of this function. See, now the error is gone. Okay, so since I am not handling this exception inside this class, inside this function, then what should I do? You know that there is an exception object created. I am throwing this object outside of the function. So here you have to use throws keyword. So whenever we manually create an exception, there you have to use the keyword throw. But whenever you throw that exception outside of a function, you have to use the keyword throws. And what exception object you are throwing? Age exception. So you have to just specify the name of the exception. That's it. Now you can see here the error will be coming, because this function is throwing the exception out. Where it will throw? To the place where it is called. Now you can know this line is now creating exception, because the exception object created here is thrown out of this function. So where it will come? It will come to the place where it is called. So what you have to do is, this line is now having the exception object. So this should be now surrounded by try. Okay? This should be now surrounded by try. See, the error gone. Immediately after the try, what should be there? Catch should be there. Now we know that exception name is age exception. See, all the error is gone. So now I'll see here, I'll say check your age. Okay. So this is how we have to use the keyword throws. So whenever a function is not handling it with try catch, I have to throw it out. When I throw it, the function where we called it, that should be surrounded by try catch, and you have to use the normal way of handling try catch. So if I run this program, as usual, it will run, and it says enter your age. I am going to say the age is 14. So you can see here, whenever there is an age is less than 18, it is calling this constructor. So check your age, it will be printed. And then after that, this is because there is an exception object immediately to throw out of the function. It will come to this place and it will go to that object will be thrown to this catch, and it will inside this catch we have just given check your age. So this line is get printed. Do you understand? Now do you understand how to use throw, throws, finally, throw, try catch, throw and throws? Do you understand, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, very good, ma. I hope that everybody got it. So this is how we have to use it. Then we know finally. So you can use finally. What does this finally means? If the exception occur, you can say I am finally. Okay. So if the exception occur or if the exception not occur, this finally will be executed. So if you want to make sure that if the exception occurred or if the exception don't occur, certain steps to be done that you can put inside a finally. Now we will try it, okay? First we'll execute with the exception. So if that, for that I'll enter the age is 17. So you can see these two lines are executed and the finally statement also get executed. So even though there is an exception, then also finally will be executed. Next time we will run without exception. So I am going to enter the age is 23. Now you can see you are eligible to vote. Now also the finally block get executed. So if there is an exception or if there is no exception, then also finally block will be get executed. Okay, ma'am? Anything else I want to teach you in this exception? I hope that I have covered you all the different ways of using this. Okay, then one more thing I'll teach you quickly. Now, if I try to print E, okay, I'm going to try to print E and I'm going to enter the age as 12. You can see here, check your age. So it is coming, check your age, and followed by E. For this E, it is automatically printing age exception. You can see this. This is coming because we are printing this E. Okay, so E says age exception, and E is an object of what? Age exception. Whenever I try to print an object, we know that a toString function will be called. Since I have not written a toString function for age exception, it is just printing age exception. If you want to do that, then you have to write this age exception. toString, you remember this, right? And this should be a public, here I am going to return. Check your age. I am from toString. Anything you want to print, you can print, okay? So it should be a public function. It's already overridden function. So now you can see if I now run it, and if I'm going to give the age as 13, you can see here, it is displaying check your age, followed by E is printed. What is E? E is the object of age exception. Whenever we try to print an object, who will be called? This toString function will be called, and you now know that inside the toString function we have written this, so that is get printed. Okay, and not only that, to this constructor you can even pass some numbers, some arguments. We know that how to pass argument to a constructor. So here we are passing some argument to this constructor. So here also we have to receive it. Int A. So the error is gone here. Okay, where is that? Here. So I am passing some age. So it came here. Here we will define a variable called ag, not to confuse you. So here I am going to say ag equal to a. So we know equal to a. So it is, what is this? This is an instant variable of this class for which I have assigned. And you can print this ag also. Here also you can see plus age. Okay. So this is how we can even pass argument to the constructor also. So here I'm going to pass the age as 16. You can see now check your age. Along with that, the age is also printed. And here when I try to print this object E, who will be called? toString function of this class will be called. And here we have given, you can see here, check your age, that along with that the ages also get printed. Do you understand now? So I have given a complete glance of this exception handling. Do you understand, ma? Yeah. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Johnson. Thank you all, ma. I hope that you have got it. So this is how we can able to handle the exception already. So our